Where is our gold? It's a question that's quietly yet persistently echoing through the corridors of power across Europe and beyond. For many, gold is more than just a precious metal. It's a symbol of national strength, security, and trust. This question isn't just whispered in financial circles, it's being asked in the highest offices of the European Union, debated in parliament buildings, and discussed by central bankers and policymakers. For decades, European nations placed their trust in the United States, choosing to store vast reserves of gold in the deep, fortified vaults of New York's Federal Reserve. This arrangement was born out of the ashes of World War II, a testament to transatlantic alliances and a shared vision of stability. But today, that trust is showing cracks. The world is no longer as predictable as it once seemed. Now, countries like Germany, the Netherlands, Austria, and Poland are making headlines by demanding their gold back, orchestrating complex operations to bring their reserves home. This isn't just about shifting heavy bars from one vault to another. It's a powerful statement about sovereignty, self-reliance, and the desire to control one's own destiny in an uncertain world. The global landscape has shifted dramatically. Financial crises have rattled economies, US policies have become less predictable, and the use of financial systems as tools of political leverage has made nations rethink old arrangements. Storing gold abroad, once seen as a safe and practical choice, now feels fraught with new risks and vulnerabilities. In this climate, physical possession of gold is increasingly viewed as the ultimate safeguard, a tangible asset that can't be frozen or seized by foreign powers. Gold is more than just a financial asset, it's a nation's last line of defense, a backstop in times of crisis, and a symbol of enduring value. Having gold within national borders means having direct control over your country's financial future, no matter what storms may come. Europe's gold repatriation movement is more than a logistical exercise. It's a bold declaration of financial independence and a reassertion of national sovereignty. As the global order becomes more fragmented and unpredictable, holding your own wealth is no longer just prudent. It's a political and strategic necessity. Why is this happening now? Because recent shocks, economic, political, and even military, have exposed the dangers of relying too heavily on the goodwill and stability of others. The calculus of risk has fundamentally changed, and Europe's response is to take back control, reassess old alliances, and prepare for an uncertain future. The Great Gold Migration is underway, with nations quietly but determinedly reclaiming their reserves. This movement is more than symbolic. It's actively reshaping the very foundations of the global financial system, signaling a new era of caution, independence, and strategic foresight. Why did Europe send its gold to New York in the first place? The answer lies in a unique convergence of history, trust, and global power shifts that shaped the modern financial world. After World War II, Europe was devastated and vulnerable. Cities lay in ruins, economies were shattered, and the threat of instability loomed large over the continent. European leaders faced the daunting task of rebuilding their nations from the ground up, all while fearing new dangers on the horizon. The US emerged as the world superpower, offering security against Soviet threats. American military and economic might provided a protective shield, and the Marshall Plan poured billions into European recovery, cementing the US as a trusted partner. Storing gold in America was both practical and symbolic, a gesture of trust in the transatlantic alliance. It meant that Europe's wealth was safeguarded in the world's most secure vaults, under the watchful eye of a powerful ally. The New York Fed's vault became the world's gold hub, central to the Bretton Woods system. Deep beneath Manhattan, gold from dozens of nations rested side by side, forming the backbone of a new global order. The dollar was pegged to gold, and other currencies to the dollar, making the US the anchor of global finance. This system gave the world stability and predictability, with the dollar as the ultimate reference point. Gold could be easily transferred between nations within the vault, streamlining international settlements. Instead of shipping gold across oceans, countries could simply reassign ownership with a signature, making global trade smoother and safer. For decades, this arrangement provided stability and cemented America's leadership. The world looked to New York as the heart of financial security, and the city thrived as a symbol of trust and prosperity. European nations saw the US as a reliable guardian of their wealth. The gold in New York was a constant reassurance that their fortunes were safe, even in uncertain times. The gold in New York was more than metal. It was a symbol of shared commitment to a liberal, capitalist order. It represented a promise of cooperation, stability, and mutual prosperity between continents. But trust is not permanent. As decades passed, new questions emerged about sovereignty, control, and the future of global finance. As the world changes, so do the calculations about where to keep national treasure. Nations are rethinking old arrangements, weighing the risks and rewards of storing their gold abroad. The era of unquestioned American stewardship is fading. The world is entering a new phase where trust must be continually earned and alliances are tested. Europe's gold is coming home, and with it a new era is dawning. Central banks are reclaiming their reserves, signaling a shift in global confidence and priorities. The vaults of Manhattan are no longer the only safe haven. Other cities are rising as financial fortresses, ready to safeguard the world's wealth. The world's financial center of gravity is shifting. As new powers emerge and old alliances evolve, the story of gold, and who guards it, continues to unfold. The 2008 financial crisis shattered the illusion of American invulnerability. For decades, the world had looked to the United States as the bedrock of financial stability, a place where assets were safe and the rules were clear. But as the crisis unfolded, that confidence was shaken to its core. Suddenly, the world's financial guardian looked unstable. The Federal Reserve, once seen as the ultimate backstop, now appeared vulnerable, and uncertainty rippled through global markets. European leaders began to question, how safe are our assets in the US? If America could falter, what did that mean for the billions in reserves and gold stored across the Atlantic? The rise of America First policies deepened doubts as the US prioritized its own interests over alliances. Long-standing partnerships were suddenly up for renegotiation, and trust in American stewardship began to erode. Trust in the old system eroded. The sense of security that had underpinned decades of global finance was now in question, and the cracks were growing wider. Then, after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the US and its allies froze Russia's foreign reserves, a stark warning to all nations. Suddenly, the idea that assets held abroad could be untouchable was proven false. Assets held abroad could be seized or weaponized. The global financial system had become a tool of geopolitics, and no one could ignore the risks any longer. The risks of keeping gold in New York were no longer theoretical. What once seemed like prudent diversification now looked like a potential liability. The pillars of trust that supported US-centric gold storage crumbled. The very foundations of the old order were being questioned, and the world was searching for new answers. Financial, political, and strategic risks became impossible to ignore. Central banks and governments across Europe began to reassess their strategies, weighing the dangers of over-reliance on a single power. The logic that once sent Europe's gold to America has flipped. What was once a symbol of trust and cooperation now seemed like a vulnerability. What was once a safe haven now looks like a potential trap. The calculus of risk and reward has changed, and nations are rethinking where their wealth truly belongs. The time for a new strategy has arrived. Europe is taking decisive steps to regain control over its own destiny, moving gold back home and rewriting the rules of financial security. Europe is reclaiming its gold and its autonomy. The world is watching as a new era of financial independence begins to take shape, and the global balance of power shifts before our eyes. In today's uncertain world, sovereignty and risk management drive new thinking. Gold at home means no counterparty risk. No one else can freeze or control it. Repatriating gold is a declaration. We control our own destiny. Even within the Eurozone, national gold reserves remain a symbol of independence. Public trust matters too. Transparency and audits reassure citizens the gold is real and secure. Central banks are de-risking, spreading reserves across locations. The unipolar moment is over. The world is multipolar and unpredictable. No one wants all their golden eggs in one American basket. Europe is adapting to a new reality. Europe's gold repatriation is part of a global shift. China is building its own gold reserves, aiming to reduce dependence on the US dollar. Russia too has stockpiled gold at home, a move vindicated when Western sanctions froze its foreign assets. These actions are about building financial fortresses, insulating economies from foreign pressure. As major powers move gold eastward, the traditional dominance of New York and London is challenged. Even US allies like Germany and the Netherlands are joining in, legitimizing the trend. Gold is now a strategic asset in a new global chess game. The flow of gold maps the rise of a multipolar world. The balance of power is shifting, one gold bar at a time. Every gold bar leaving New York is a subtle vote of no confidence in American leadership. For decades, the world's trust in U.S. stewardship was a pillar of global finance. Now that trust is eroding. The impact is mostly symbolic, but symbols matter. The New York Fed's role as global gold custodian gave the U.S. unique soft power. As that role fades, so does the mystique of American dominance. A renewed focus on gold could slowly chip away at the dollar's status as the world's reserve currency. America's allies are hedging their bets, seeking more autonomy. The departure of their gold is a clear sign of shifting loyalties. The world is no longer content with a single financial anchor. Gold's movement has always signaled political anxiety and shifting alliances. In the 1960s, France's Charles de Gaulle repatriated gold, challenging U.S. dominance and hastening the end of Bretton Woods. In 1931, Britain's exit from the gold standard triggered a global rush for bullion, deepening the Great Depression. Gold is a fever chart for the health of the international system. Today's repatriation echoes these moments, not as open rebellion, but as cautious risk management. The message is clear. Trust in the current system is waning. Financial independence is now a strategic priority. Quiet moves today may signal tomorrow's systemic change. Gold's journey is a warning and a sign of what's to come. Europe's gold repatriation is more than defense. It's a strategic move. By bringing gold home, Europe asserts its independence and credibility in a multipolar world. It's a message to the U.S. The old status quo is over. For Washington, it's a prompt to rethink the costs of wielding financial power as a weapon. A Europe with its own reserves can act as a third pole, balancing the U.S. and China and championing multilateralism. Diversifying financial power makes the world more stable and resilient. The debate over gold is really about the future architecture of global order. Europe is reclaiming sovereignty, the U.S. is receiving critical feedback. The journey of gold is writing a new chapter in the story of global power.